I want to see on Tradeback, and I'm thinking it was just like the broker or something like that. Like I'm up 1,000 right now on my Tradeback account.
Yeah, I wish I had a great answer for you, but and I know we've kind of already talked about this on the round and round. There is zero difference between
Yeah, I'm
funded
seeing that.
funded PAs accounts, real money. None of that changes, right? Now, think about it from a logical standpoint, right? Now, if there's a variable that you're missing, then yes, right, it could be different because there could be maybe more fees, or like maybe like back in the day when we used to study on the uh, the demo stuff like that, right? We didn't realize for a bit that they weren't really charging fees, right, in crypto on it on the demos, and so that would make not a reason why you would break it or go crazy, but it would definitely be a big difference in profit, right? Because there's a variable that's not included. But if you are getting the same fee, right? If the fee's the same, the ticker's the same, right? There's no variable other than emotions and decisions, right? And it is. It just there's no way to combat that, right? So at the end of the day, right? If think about it, if I go decide to take a long based on whatever and I click buy, the market doesn't really care if it's a demo, a live, a funded, a pro, right? Doesn't care. It's just buy or it's not, right? The only thing that separates it, and the only way you could identify that this is the case, subconsciously or otherwise, would be to pay attention to how you choose to enter, right? Do you have more or less hesitation? Do you have, more or less emotions? Do you overthink it more or less, right? Like all those things make a big difference. And if you're or anybody is one that has trouble identifying that, right? Or maybe you're sitting there going, I get it, but I don't feel like I'm emotional and I don't feel like it's different, right? We say those things. Um, you know, maybe you could record yourself, right? I don't know. I promise you, an example I can give, I guess the only one I can think of to give you the old analogies is like, I play a lot of slow pitch softball, right? And so a while back, I was in a rut and I was popping up like crazy. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like, I don't get it. Like, in BP, I'm out here crushing it. But when I go into my game, I'm popping up. Like, I don't get it. And people were explaining the difference of like, well, it's a tournament, it's a game, it's not just BP, right? BP, you're just out swinging, you don't care, right? And you're just line drive, line drive, line drive. You only get one pitch, like there's so many other emotions that get into it, right? But then one person told me, they're like, hey, I'm noticing in the game, like you're popping up because you're dipping your shoulder when you swing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, let me see. So he pitched the ball, I swing. I'm like, no way I did. He's like, dude, you did. I was like, and I'm sitting here arguing with him. I'm like, no, I did not. He's like, dude, hold on. So we did another one. He recorded me. And I was like, see, I did. He goes, you did it again. I'm like, no, I didn't. And he shows me the video. I'm like, shit, I did. Like, right? Like, I didn't even know I was. I did. It just, so, it's just your reaction kicks in, right? And so I know you've been seeking that and that answer of what's the difference, and you're not the only one. So it's a great discussion. Um, there is no other difference, right? Unless there's a variable on that broker that changes things, right? Whether it's bid, ask, fill, and even if it's that's not much difference. The only variable can be, your confidence of execution, right? How quickly do you go in? How do you hesitate? Do you not hesitate, right? Like, you know, um, there's really no other great explanation, right? It's just it's what it is. So I've seen it for years, right? And I've had that kind of question and that discussion for years, and so wish I had a better answer or a fix, but that's the truth of it. And so and it goes in my last thing I was thinking on it, and then we'll go into my thoughts of the open, guys. We're in a crazy area, but it's no different than even me, right? I can pass an eval pretty quickly and easy. I can get to a funded, area pretty easy. But like my lucids, for example, my day 1 through 4 are just easy. I'm like, got my 150, 200s. I don't even think about it. I don't sweat it. I just wait for the entry to take it, and I'm done. Something about that day 5, man. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna take that one. I'm gonna wait. Oh man, that would have played out. Oh well. I'm not gonna take that one. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna jump in that one. That one's fine. And then you take it, and then it goes against you, and you're like, mother, right? And then you gotta fight it. It's that fifth payout, right? Or that fifth day, because it becomes real now, right? It becomes real money, even for me. And
That sounds like my everyday.
yeah, it becomes real, and it's just an emotional. I mean, you guys see me trade. I've broken accounts and don't even flinch, right? I've had great days and don't even flinch. Like I stay unemotional because I'm very deep into the technical. Um, but we're all human. Anybody that says they never get emotional is lying to you, right? We're all human. The only difference between an experienced trader and a new trader is I can manage my emotions a little better, right? But even for me, like, and think about it, like for my lucids, it's a guaranteed $3,600 that I could get, and in my mind, whether I wanted to admit it or not, I'm sitting here going, man, I gotta get this 150 in my bank by 525. I'll have 3,600 bucks, but I gotta get 150. Right? You see how the pressure I'm putting on myself, whether I want to or not, and it impacts it, man. It's a real thing, right? And my I guess from my final advice on that is kind of like I said to somebody the other day. It's kind of like when you hear about like the whole AA, right? Like the first step is admitting you have a problem, right? I mean, it's kind of like that in trading, right? The first step is admitting that it's got to be something emotional, unless you can introduce a variable that contradicts that. And if you're just going from demo to live, clicking the same thing on the same broker, there's likely no other variables. So, especially if you're using the same volume, same rules, same logic, all that, right? Like now, if you're changing your volume, then yeah, it could be different, right? If you're changing, like if you're adding variables, then yeah. But if you're doing the same volume on both sides and you're using the same rules from technical analysis to make decisions, there's just no way, right, that there's any other variable that it can be. So, but all right, quickly, guys, let's look at this. First, happy Friday, welcome. Fridays are wild, so be careful. If you are in here trading today, I want to give a couple of advice, kind of things within, right? One, if you're in here trading and you have had a phenomenal week, which most people I think have done pretty well, you don't want to really push it today, right? Get a nice little profit and be done. If you're waiting to get a payout, if today's your last day or whatever, right, be really careful. Fridays are crazy anyways. They tend to want to shake out the market. We obviously see that we had a ridiculous push from here, right? We just went out of nowhere, right? We just kind of exploded. When you look at the overall structure, I mean, it makes sense, but it's still crazy how much it moved within that time frame that it's in, right? So we had our highs here. We know this is our channel that we were following. For those that didn't see it, this is what we were kind of following the last few days. Is something like this, right? Kind of respected it pretty well. Little breach here. We did break it, but we are back into channel. That being back into channel has that risk of falling pretty far, right? So you got to be careful because we've been very bullish. But we do have that risk when we're back in channel of coming all the way back down there, which is around 400 bucks, 350 or so. Fridays tend to pump and dump. Also, pre-market tends to go the opposite way that the market actually wants to go. Kind of pushing up through our kill zone, went up, then it kind of reclaimed, and then our pre-market, kind of held, right? It's kind of like trying to push up, trying to go down, right? When we were doing our pre-market with the mentor group, I had talked about when we do these pushes like this, they don't tend to hold, so we were kind of measuring some things. And my expectation was is that they would put us somewhere in the middle and market open, so pretty close, right, guys? Because we're almost right in the middle. They do this intentful because people don't know. The bulls are going to say, hey, we're holding above all this, we're going to the moon. The bears are going to say, got a bearish structure, came down, we retested our neckline, and we're going to the floor, right? They did a good job setting that up because now nobody really knows where we're going, right, on open. Now, not even me. So what I do know is that we have broken back into channel. We came up and we rejected on it. Any kind of pull this way is going to be met pretty deep, right? I do know that these prior highs are going to come into play, right? The 141. If we get a pull down into those highs and we break that structure back north, then it's going to go up for another high, right? We're going to be pretty bullish throughout that. If we break this high into here, right, then we're going to have a really deep pull, because a lot of times when you get this structure like this, when it fails, right, it ends up creating a lower low from there. And so definitely within a possibility. So be very careful on your longs because we are very top of range. We did have an
Hey,
explosion. Huh?
question. What do you think about like it breached out of that channel and
Yeah.
came back in, and then this was kind of like a bull flag, and then it did the same thing to that channel, breached out of it and then came back in.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
So for me, again, market open is weird, right? It can get crazy, but for me, this type of structure is more likely to try to fail and create this lower low than to explode, just because where we are. If it was going to explode, though, I would need that trend line with the push close above here. Then you would ride that, right? So I would not be shorting that. But
yeah, I guess what I was saying was,
yeah,
so
I
it
know.
makes it similar on the high time frame and then the lower
Yeah,
time frame.
yeah, because you're
It's
talking
kind
about
of,
here and then this little
yeah,
pump,
like
right?
it's kind of the
But
same little thing it just did.
yeah, and so if you think about that, if this is pushing the same way and we're collapsing to create that lower low, right? That kind of tells you eventually, right? This is likely going to pull to create that low. So it
Mm-hmm.
be really careful. We are market open. See the pull. We are getting it. I'm going to come into the lower time frame, but these highs are going to be huge for me. 141 is huge, guys. Anything, here to that, I'm short. I'm not likely going to take longs on that. But market open is, or Fridays are weird because we always like to say, pump and dump, but it also could be a dump and pump. It doesn't have to be directionally like that, right? So we could see a pretty deep pull and then come in and then end of day just, pop up, right? We don't know. The hard thing about this zone, guys, which I wish I had a great answer for you, is that we are in La La Land, right? We were way up. So for those who've been following for some time, you guys know that we have been calling this structure for since like here that we were going to blow off top. Even when we broke here, everybody out there was like, "Oh, we're short, 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 short," and I'm like, be careful on your bias. Now, for us, we do short scalps, right? So it's fine, but we're not done, right? This right here was not the blow off top, and it was funny because a lot of people were like on TikTok, like, "Oh, now we're getting this blow off top. Like, what do we think?" I'm like, that's not the blow off top, guys. That's just the break, right? We broke it, we held it. Now we're kind of experiencing the blow off top, right, where we're pushing. We tried to identify some levels. There's a couple of levels up in here that we definitely could get to, based on how this structure works, right? And so everybody who has spent all week chasing long-term shorts, I would caution you with that, right? Because we may not be done. So now, if you're a scalper, like I've been kind of instructing people in my community to do, then it's okay, right? You can take shorts, scalps, right? There's plenty of short drops. It's not like we're just consistently parabolic, right? So, but when we're watching this open, guys, all this stuff matters. So you can see I'm going to take that out just because I don't really like the angle anyways. I'm going to take a safer play on our macro and just kind of pull that up as an identifier. And then we'll put on the indicators. So currently right now, until things change, right, this is our bearish structure that came down. We rejected here, created our low, reclaimed that low, came up, swept it, couldn't do it, and we collapsed, creating another low there. Now we're coming into this support plus this massive support here. We can bounce heavily, guys, anywhere in there, right? I would caution taking shorts too close to that. That's just based on the levels, right? Now if we apply the indicators, let's see what risks we have, right? So we don't really have much until here or the ORB here. Then we come over to the 15-second. So we're bouncing off the 15-minute Lisma. Right there we can see we got this blue line, which is our VWAP. And we're above the 5 minutes, 200 EMA. So we have quite a bit of technicals from the indicators, right, that give a lot of support. You guys also know this is our prior day high, right? Come down, this is our prior day low. I'm not a huge fan of shorting into our prior day high, right? We want to break into our prior day high. So, because any kind of hold here, show of support would just potentially explode us, right? Back north. So we are inside a few ranges, but you can see we're pressuring. This is not surprising because you can see we opened, and all we are seeing right now is we have a swing low, and we're trying to establish a swing high. It's normal market open conditions. So what matters here, just want to make sure everything is on. Yeah, everything's going on. Yeah. Helium, did you find your way in? I know you said you were going to join. We got it open here now. When you come in there, right, just click on it, and then you just click that on there if you guys wanted to come in. But, yeah, and so as we're pushing here, right, we're just swing low, swing high. So where this high goes matters. It makes a difference, right? And so as we look on the micro side of it, right, we came back down, we bounced off the 15-minute Lisma, pushed back up, we did breach the 1 minute, but rejected on the 200 on the 15-second, right? And we created our hammer, closed below. That close below with the doji should bring us back to there. Anything short of us coming back to here, if it's met with a doji and a push close above, right, is going to be an early sign that the bulls are pretty strong, right? The bears aren't quite strong enough yet, even though they're trying. So what I like to do when the market gets a little wonky like this is see, does the micro do what it's supposed to do through candle logic, right? And so notice here, right, we got a lot of indecision pressure north. It's coming down into full strength, and it's trying to pressure north again. If this can come up from a higher low, and we have a push with a halfway liquidity sweep into a doji, and we get a close above, it's going to sweep it up to there, right? And so when I think of that into an entry perspective, right, I would want to wait until I get at least above these levels, right? So this is basically a push. Remember from the structure we teach, pull back, right? So we have a breach wick, pull back. We would want to push, close above, and then I can take a little scalp to the upper portion of the OA there, right? But I want to see how this is acting, at least for 9 more minutes, to see within our ORB that how this wants to act, right? So we know indicator-wise, we have a lot of confluence in here, which is kind of where we're trying to find some support. The next level is around 280 up there. Overall grand scheme of things, right? When you look at it from an actual structure level, right? We have that, we broke, held that as resistance, dropped, created a low, had that, reclaimed it, swept, couldn't create a close above that absorption candle. We closed below it, which caused us to drop, which usually creates a lower low. So it's still within structure of what it should do. Now we have this as our low, right? Kind of around 209, somewhere around there, like 202, 209, right? So if we go to the micro and the 202, it's trying to hold support on that, not resistance right now. So it doesn't really scream, jump short, right? And so as that holds that support, it's going to try to continue to pressure. Now, if we lose it, right, if it comes down and closes below that, that should have enough steam to breach wick all this area in here. So again, I'm not telling you to short here, because anything you short into the prior day high is very, very dangerous, right? Very dangerous. So I just want to kind of see what we're getting here. So we did get that there. We did get the sell there. Currently, our micros got us in sells. Our macros got us in the buys. So it's conflicted up here, right? And so we don't really have any trap levels holding support till around down there. Unless it populates a new one, you guys know that that's pretty staunch indicator there. We don't have any trap stuff on the 1 minute, so we're kind of, having to stick with watching candle logic, right, mixed with our buy sell signals for progression. So for those on TikTok, we don't use these as entries for buy sell signals. I'm using it for guidance, right? I may even have Paul, I don't know if you're on, Paul, change the name of it, because I hate the words buy sell. I think that they're overused in the industry, and the way that we've actually used these is for to help with bias, right? If this is in a sell and this is in a sell, I don't want to really take a long, right, until at least this has a long or this has a long, right? And that little simple rule of that indicator helps keep you safe with your directional bias, right? So if you guys see here, while we're getting the push, so far it's doing what it should do as far as candle logic, because we had a push, halfway reclaim into a hammer, got to close above the hammer, which remember we talked about, as long as we hold above there, that 202, 203, which we did, and we got multiple hammers, and we closed above it, that should have enough to push up, right, which it did. Now that usually has enough strength to close above there, which we did. Once we get to close above there, it has enough strength to push up to here, which it should, right? Anything short of that is going to actually show a little bit of sign of weakness. Now we're in the first 15 minutes of market open, so remember, things in the market open always like to swing high, swing low, or swing low, swing high. So be careful chasing moves too quickly on the first 15 minutes, right? Because it's just setting its pace for the day, right? We need to, we're creating that opening range breakout. So this is why, those on TikTok, I like to use a multi-time frame. I use the 15-second, 1 minute, 5 minute, because I want to see what the macro is doing, but I also want to see is the micro doing what it should with the macro, right? So we know that we were in a kind of a down spell, but we weren't really doing bearish things, right? We had a head and shoulders that did drop, that pulled us pretty heavily, and then from there, right, we started kind of indecision off of these key levels, getting closes above, started to getting some absorption to the north. We got a nice little absorption there. We're getting, like, those aren't really screaming bearish things, right? Arguably, right, you could even identify this as a little shoulder, head, minor shoulder, and then we invalidated it. So you can look at that as like, hey, so we should be bearish, but based on what this was doing, the progression, the lows coming down, we hit our gap fill. But it's not doing bearish things, right? It's invalidating. Now, the other thing, what I said in the mentor group when we identified pre-market, is as this thing comes down, right, this was where we were going to get to, right? Remember, guys, when we said that this morning, I was like, I would say short because we're coming here, right? And so we did it. We got there, we hit it, and now we're bouncing. This is where I was saying be careful shorting into, because it's where, if we break that level, it's pretty critical, right? It's going to come down pretty far. But if we hold it, right, then we're gonna test that top. So again, I think today is going to be a little tricky. I finished most of my stuff last night. I'm only going to be trading a couple of Apex evals today, because I've already got my payouts for the week. I've already added my volume I wanted. The Lucid ones that I just took a payout on, I did last night. So I got 770 and 900. I don't need to do any more because I've already pretty much set up, because they're both at 54, to slow roll it if I wanted to for another payout. Part of what I said yesterday is, anytime somebody makes a claim that I made $900, make sure they're tagging their brokerage and saying, see, made $900. Not images, screenshots, or just text, right? So so right now I'm just, I'm gonna wait a little, and I'm gonna work on couple evals. On my Apex evals, when I do it for the company ones, I tend to swing pretty big, and so I talked about that earlier. And so I have 4. I have one that passed, one that hit the daily loss limit, and then I'm gonna probably work on the other 2 once I see something open, right, clear. So let's look at this, guys. We ended up breaking through. We have the high. We got the close above that high. Didn't get a close above that high. We're starting to collapse a little bit. This creates compression, dojis. This close here should sweep with a breach wick there. If it does, it might rear back a little, get the close, and then it should pull there, right? With the momentum that it creates. Now, because of the fact that this almost is like an ugly looking double top, I want to kind of look to see, do we get another bearish pattern that invalidates, right? Because the way this structure is and the fact we're below that neckline should come down to breach wick that. It just should. And so if it doesn't, and we create a hammer or an absorption to the north, that's the second one, guys, and I'll be really careful shorting. So when I do it, there's the breach. So when I do, when I decide on the macro which way it's going, I'm heavily watching the micro because there's things the market should do, right? And if it does it, then you know that it's playing in line, right? And you can make decisions on entries, right? And so the breach wick there, the close below there, should be enough steam to breach these lows to push us to there, right? Based on the structure, the pattern, all that. We also have our swing low, our swing high, that the high created a lower high, but the low created a lower low. That's not really bullish strong, right? So the micro should begin to do bearish things and invalidate bullish things. And if it doesn't, right, then it's more of a trap they're setting up, and we're going to go back up one more time. So mostly for me in the pre-market, for what I told everybody in the mentor group is, I'm looking for probably more short scalps than long, because I think that Friday runs the ability to pump, and mind you guys, it's going to matter on your strategy, because while this thing's deciding, I'm just going to show some people. So those who are in here or on TikTok that have not seen this, I did a TikTok on it because one person kind of called me out and it's like, no way you knew about this or anticipated it. So this structure here on the 4 hour, somewhere around here, I was already calling that we're going to sweep to this high or this low, and then we're going to have a blow off top parabolic move, right? And so everybody wondering why we're going up, because there's no volume, there's no this, there's no that, like, I've been trying to tell people there's a structural reason, right, why we're going up. Everybody wants to give it to credit to just what's going on in the Iran or what's going on in the news or what's going on economically, or maybe people saying they don't get it because the volume's low. I mean, all those are correct, but those in this room know, and I did a video showing, because I had the recording, back here I was saying we're going to blow off top, right? I had tried to put a few comments, and I don't know it, guys. I don't have a crystal ball with things, but when we had this first push, many people on the feeds were talking about, this is our blow off top. I'm shorting this. We're gonna break down. I'm like, we ain't done yet. I'll be careful, because this is just a break, guys. This is a break and hold. Now we're getting into blow off top. So I wanted to point that out, because when I'm deciding to take shorts, I got to remember. Market oscillation is normal, right? We're going to go up, we're going to go down. It's just a fact. I've pivoted most of my strategies to quick scalping. I'm in and I'm out. That's it, right? I'm not taking any long plays or anything. I'm in and I'm out. Because I just think that it's too risky to take a long play, because the larger scheme of things structure suggests that we should go a lot further up. But in the short term, right, we have room to come back. So this is where I'm not exactly sure, but I would suspect that this is our push. If we reclaim this, like I said, this structure typically creates a lower low. That likely should pull us down into this range somewhere, right, and then decide if it wants to push. Now, if we don't breach this top, that would tap, 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 close above, and we're just going up for another high. But if we breach this top here, it's going to come down pretty hard, right, for a little bit. But this is where people get caught, right, because that we can still come all the way down into here and then push north again, and we're still higher low, right? It's an oscillation. And this is why when you're doing your entries, right, you don't want to be too directionally biased, because you don't really know if it's going to pull to there first before it goes up, or are we just going to bull flag here and just jump, right? We don't know. And so that's why I like to look at all of my possibilities. So for me, the long time frame says we got room to go, right? We can still go up a lot higher. Um, I don't know where the top is, but we did a few speculations in the pre-market, and we're looking at possibly getting up to 28.4, 28.7, somewhere, right? It doesn't have to be direct, but eventually. Um, it was it was a speculative target based on just as minimal of data as we could find, right? And so, um, we'll see, right? Where that lands. So, looking at this, right, you guys can see again. So again, if you're taking shorts, right, just keep it to scalps, right? But because we do run a risk of really going up until we break certain levels. So when we go back to the charts, let's just keep looking at what we're doing here. So again, this is our high right before open. This is our low. This was on open, low, high. We got the ORB set now because we're past the 15-minute. We're internal, right? So let's see what this does internally and see what it should be doing from the micro and otherwise. Daniel, what's up, man? Got your camera on. Look at that. Looking all ready to go. I see you. Hold on. I'm gonna make you famous. Get on and talk. Hey, TikTok. No. He's like, hold on. Trying to mute the camera. Gotta mute it. Look, hey, I got him smiling on a Friday. That's all that matters to me right there. You're on mute though. We can't hear you. But look, I already can anticipate what you're saying. It was somewhere along the line of Nick, shut up and trade. No. All right. So let's just keep looking again, guys. We have a pull here, halfway liquidity, pushed up, compression, drop back down. This was our double top we played. Should have breached wick that. It did. That should have, this close should have had enough to touch that. It didn't, right? We ended up getting into a doji, close above. That doesn't really say we're going to drop. That's more bullish than bearish, right? So when we see it there, we already know that it's not lining up. Then when it comes down through, we got another breach in here. We never got the close, and we're getting a lot of absorptions to the north. That doesn't scream we're about to drop, right? What I would need to have happen here is when this pushed up and it tested our neckline here, right, plus some of these prior high levels, that right there and that rejection should have had more bearish structure pulling to there, and it didn't. So again, we're still market open, right? So we have the ORB set, and we know that we're internal until we break out of that, right? So we run the risk of going up, back down, back up, back down until we have a clear structure break, right? My 5-minute, I've been kind of watching this possible trend. I don't really like it, so I'm going to take it off. I have enough data here. Now, yeah, it's very tight. To see, I have a clear indecision within the range. We don't know where we're going, not even on the micro or macro, right? And so if you guys want to mark that, you can kind of mark the highest point of that doji, and you can mark the lowest point of that doji, right? That's another way that I teach. That is our macro. Any kind of deep breakout and hold of those levels is going to determine where we're going, right? And so, because anything between that, we're just indecision. So, starting to pressure more south, we can see this was our high. We ended up pushing up, got the high. We end up, remember, like I said, a logic that I teach is we have a hammer here or absorption to the north with a close below. That creates the southern move, right? So, let's see. Again, guys, you know, I don't know. It really depends on if this decides to break out of this channel, but this structure typically, if it shows more weakness than strength within it, it will collapse and it creates a lower low on that. So be careful on your longs, but you also got to be careful on your shorts because anything above 141 runs the risk of jumping, right? Landmine. And so, for those, somebody messaged me, Neo is undergoing a few things with his latest upgrades that we've been doing with him. And so I'm just telling everybody he's on PTO. It's Friday. You know, he's had a busy week. And so he put in a PTO there. No, I'm sure Alex will. Alex was working on him, and so I'm pretty sure that he'll get him up and running by 1 o'clock. So as many of you guys know, the preset time that he normally goes on is 1 p.m. Right? He's 1 to, I think we do 1 to 4, and then 6 to 10 or 11. Yeah, 6 to 11 and 1 to 4. And so he'll be on by 1, but I like to put him on during this so we can kind of help with interpretation. Yeah, the trap indicator is crazy. Oh, I didn't even see that down there. Yeah, that's funny. You saw that on TikTok. I didn't even see it. Yeah, this trap indicator is sick, guys. So a little history while we're waiting for this thing to do something. If I see something, I'll call it. But so Paul, those who don't know me or my company, our company's fairly new. We actually celebrated our first month of our launch, right, with the company. In that first month, we've done a lot of stuff. Everybody in the room will tell you, including creating and evolving this AI, which has been awesome. I teach people very different than many people are used to. For those TikTok or if you're in here, you know, my brain's a little crazy when it comes to the charting and the analytics of it, right? I love to look at the micro, the 1 minute, and the 5 minute because I want to know what it's doing, right? If the 5 minutes suggesting one way or the other, the 15 seconds should be doing that, right? And so I like to always give deep analytics within the chart. One thing I've become obsessed with in the past year or so is identifying traps, right? So I teach my mentor group and my development group even how to kind of identify landmines, traps, how to think like a retail trader, but identify moves that are showing little signs, right, that are about to trap the retail trader. And so through that logic, my mentor group and I have gone through a lot of things. And Paul, who creates all of our indicators, was just absorbing it all. And one day he just kind of texted me and was like, dang, took all your logic of identifying traps and I think I'm onto something. And I'm like, what? And he showed me, and that created the trap indicator. And so he took a lot of my logic and created it. And this thing is absolutely sick, guys. Like, for anybody who gets tired of being stuck in traps, right, you want to have that. Because if this thing, and you guys, like, I don't know if anybody here who's cool with talking, Cody or Ryan or any of you guys, like, when you see this trap, I have so much confidence in this, no freaking chance I'm taking a long. If I see that trap going short, would you guys agree on that? Cody or Ryan or anybody wants to talk? Steven, anybody who has it? Don't make me look. I'll show Google Meet on Discord. You guys are all gonna be quiet on me.
Yeah, it's great. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, when this thing is showing short, no chance
Yeah,
I'm
you
taking
better
long.
stay out of it.
You better close that long because you're about to get wrecked, right? And this one right here is on the 1 minute, guys. This is on the 5 minute. This was our trap level that was called when we came back on the 5, called it, and then it pushed up, right? So it's more dramatic. But look at the trap thing play out, just phenomenal. Not sure if anybody's taking any of these shorts in there. You guys throw a thumbs up for me if you guys are taking those. But you guys can see, even as bullish as we were, even as kind of bull flag as it began to look, isn't it cool to watch when I'm able to look at it and zoom out and go, I get it, we're pretty bullish, we just had a big push, but this structure usually collapses and we create a lower low, or at least equal, right? And so for me to watch it come down is exciting, right? Because you're able to anticipate. And so a couple key things you want to look at here is this prior day high, right? This is the prior day high right here. So as this comes down, we've broken the prior day high. Now, let me ask you guys this in the mentor group or development, because we taught this. If we breach and reclaim and hold, that gives a pretty decent tell of strength or possible strength, which way, up or down. I know a lot of you guys work, so you're like, stop calling on me, just eat. I know
If
you
we
guys
hold support on the prior day high, then we're going up.
Well, and so more so, I guess my question on it, right, is remember, Cody, we've been analyzing this for months where a lot of people will wait. Remember, think about it, right? I talk about retail versus, wrecking retail if I was a market maker. If I'm retail and I'm like, dang, we're way in the high in the range, I'm not going long. I'm only going short. But I don't really feel comfortable shorting until I get below my prior day high. You've heard me say that, right? And so this becomes a retail trap. As that goes into the high and it reclaims it with some strength, if it comes up and we just breach crazy levels, it was a trap, right? And it's going to be just crazy how hard that thing can push. But we don't know if it's a trap yet. I mean, it could just be oscillatory. I mean, we did bounce off of 1 hour Lisma. We bounced off the 5 minute 200 EMA, right? We bounced off of the Asia high. There's a lot of other reasons why we bounced, right? And so now I need to determine, is this a trap, we're going up, or is this just a bounce on high time frame stuff, right? Another thing, remember, 141, right there. See how I was telling you guys? If you're shorting, be careful shorting into that, because that could be a nasty push back. Because when you come back left, that is our level that we were heavy resistance all day, right, yesterday. And so it's normal for us to come down and tap that and then bounce. Now, whether that's going to be a big bounce, right, or we're going to get my kind of lower low thought, depends how it acts, right? And so as we reclaim this, we want to see how's it acting. Are we getting hammers, dojis? Which way is the absorption, right? Got a doji, close above should push, right? Close below should drop. And so when this thing reclaims like this and it just shatters through lows, right? So we already shattered through one. We're now testing the other. If we reclaim these lows, right, that should create a breach wick close, and then that should create a breach wick close, and then it would jump, right? So now is a critical point, because this is just a normal bounce for now off of a high time frame. We can't say that it's not supposed to happen, because it should, right? Now, whether that bounce creates enough steam to break through critical lows, that's what's important, right? And so we easily could get a bounce reclaim and then just floor, right? Now, where I would say that this is for sure a retail trap, because we've seen this many times and y'all have seen me call it many times, is if I have nothing here. If this is all down here and it goes down and jumps in the middle of nowhere for no reason, right, then I'm like, oh yeah, we trapping. I'm going north, right? But for us to bounce here, think about it logic wise. We have a drop, halfway reclaim, so we cleared our liquidity. Here's our low right here. This is our bearish structure that dropped, retested, and rejected. For us to bounce here and come retest those areas is normal, right? But let's look and see how this acts here. Now pushing up with a halfway reclaim is also normal. I'd love to, like Cody, at least I know, because I know you don't mind talking on it, and you're not at work on it. Isn't it wild for how many years that I've taught you? When I showed you that halfway reclaim, I think if I remember right, I remember when I first showed you, you're like, no shit, that actually does do that. Like, it was like an epiphany. Like, what?
Yeah, it's really wild.
Isn't it crazy how much it does it?
And like the measure
Look at
move stuff and all that.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So,
almost every push comes back halfway.
And so
or drop.
Look at this push. So here, think about it, guys. This is where retail starts to get trapped, and we're identifying the micro to see what is it doing. Is it supposed to be doing what it's doing, in a sense, right? So if you think about it, we have a pull, halfway reclaim. It pulled into a halfway reclaim, right? We know that coming off high time frame stuff is more bullish, likely than bearish. The fact that we reclaim the prior day high is more bullish than bearish. But we can have deep pushes and still create lower highs and drop back down to be bearish, right? So, but this is where the traps kind of get set, because notice this bounce happened when we held support right at that halfway reclaim, right? I mean, look at it, there's really nothing else from what I have in my chart anyways, right? As far as exactly, it's not like it hit the daily, right? It's not like it held VWAP. I mean, there's no... other reason other than we had to push halfway reclaim into a little hammer, right? So we're in an area that should have rejected because we closed below and we created a hammer, right, with a close above. Now remember, it's minute, but remember we just talked about this in the mentor program. If you're calling that kind of TA and then you get that closed, right, and you see that propulsion, you know that you're onto something, right? Your TA is on point because it did what it should have done. Now, this pushing up and creating a lower high with a deep wick, right? We don't really know if this is going to crash yet or is it going to come back up because as it's rejecting, right, we have a sweep wick normal for a pullback, right? Now that pullback, as you guys know, is going to dictate the strength, right? So if we would have pulled back and held these highs, then it's going to explode. The fact that we're pulling back and we're losing those highs, plus we got a doji close below, suggests we should sweep more south. If we hold anywhere here or higher, it still could have some strength to come up and break that, right? But it's just not as strong as I would like for that. Now, many of you know the structure, right? So when it comes up and it hits things like that and it comes back, eventually it tries to go back up again. And then on that second push, if it is less than, right, it's weaker, then it'll sweep hard, right? And so see how we're getting a little DOM pressure? That pressure north matters, right? If this pressure north can't breach these critical areas again, then it's weak, right? It's not strong. And so I'm sure many of you might be thinking you'd love a little clarity as to where are we going, but if you understand what I'm saying, it's more difficult than that in this area because anything above this prior day high suggests we're going up. Anything above this 141 suggests we're going up. Anything below 141, we're going to drop, right? Anything below these levels, we're OA to drop pretty far. Now we look at liquidity. We have EU low here, Asia low here. We have EU and London high here, right? It's going to chase one of those liquidities. It just is, right? And the only way we know which one is to determine what the candles are doing, right? Because if I am studying this and I'm like, this should do this, if it's going to be northern, or this should be do this, if it's going to be southern, right? It helps you identify if one is doing, you know, what it's supposed to do, right? Because if I look at this from a candle logic and I say, okay, well, I got doji, hammer, right? Close above that, we should propel. So that means logic that should breach wick that. It just should, right? And honestly, it should push up and close above, which should push us higher. Anything short of that, right? If we can't even get to that and we doji again or we absorb to the south again with a close below, it's going to fail, right? But as of right now, it's not. Like you would not want to be shorting this right now, right? But again, it makes a difficult range because again, you know, zooming out, you can take kind of a basic trend line now that we've kind of established it, just to kind of give yourself a little something if you like trend lines like that. If you're one that doesn't mind cutting wicks, I mean, you can pull it down, but I don't like to cut wicks. Not when I trade with Akinashi. So anything that is below this is still bearish, right? In the short term. So if we continue to create lower lows, which we are, and lower highs, which we are, right, it should go more south, right, than north. But any kind of push could push us up to that trend line, right? I mean, that's a pretty decent push. How that treats that trend line will tell us if we're going to push through it or not. Now, if I go over to the macro, we have our kind of doji set here. We did not close below, but we did close below this series of them, right, which is where we measured our high and low. That right there should have dropped us, right, pretty good, right, because we got to close not only below our dojis, but we got to close below our highs, right? Remember that 183-ish range? And so this is where this range gets very complicated because we should be more southern than northern based on continued progression. But then when I go to, from the macro, when I go to here, right, it's conflicted, right? Because we should have dropped and we did. We should have bounced and we did. Now we have the 200, we have a trend line, we have VWAP. we're trying to hold support on the ORB, right, which is 176 there. We're just in a tight range, guys. And so if you're looking for a more safe play, you got to wait till for longs till you get out into this open range, right, to play. If you want more safe play on shorts, right, you need to breach here and get into this open range there, right? Any kind of breach of here would bring us down to that ORB there. And so it just depends how you're going to play with it, right? Now, if you're a micro scalper, like I've been teaching the mentor group, you can trade in the range. You just got to be really careful in the micro within your confirmations, right? So we have another absorption here. We have a doji here. So this is going to be critical. How hard that breaches up matters. It didn't really breach up very hard, right? So far I don't see super strength within it. But like we said here, candle logic says that we have a breach wick, we have a pullback into bullish momentum, should have enough to breach up, right? So we just got to watch the micro and see. You can see the trap indicator called this drop, and now it identified, it's kind of funny, I don't know how it did that, Paul. Do you see that? It identified a double trap. Shit, if this thing just jumps up like $600 here soon, man, you got a double trap on there. I don't know, we might be onto something with that. So I love this trap indicator, guys. This thing's, it's so crazy. So now we've identified a trap zone. So the way you trade this trap indicator, for those who have that, you guys know when you get that trap to the south, right, plays out. Now we've identified here that we have a southern trap, because remember, anytime the lettering is above, it's going down, right? If anything below, it's going up. So now that we have a trap low and we have a trap high, we're in a trap zone, right? And so see how that got that push? Like I was saying, that we should more likely on that. So now this trap is playing out again, right? So anybody that wants that indicator, you guys can get it off the website. So it's just trap and block engine. Our indicators are all $20 right now. They're not anything crazy. All our deals are there. You can see it's this one right here, NSA trap and block engine, for anybody that wants it. But I love that one. That one has probably been, man, they all have a lot of really great value. But that is one indicator that if I see that trap, like the moment I see this trap on the bottom, no chance I'm taking that short yet, right? And so now we've created like a trap zone, right? So you can see the high of the trap zone is 257, the low of the trap zone is around 159. You can mark it, or if you have that indicator right, you can watch it. So anything in this area is dangerous taking longs until we break through it, right? Because if it does breach through this, then that will go gray and it's going to invalidate that trap zone, right? So at some point, one of them has to break, right? Either the upper or the lower. So, but pretty cool to see that played out both ways, the south and the north. Anybody who gets stuck in traps, you might want to look into that. So interesting enough, I don't have my table up because it takes up too much room, but if you go into the settings, if I remember where it is, Paul's got a million things in there. There we go. We have a dashboard that comes up. This is a bullish breaker block. That's what I'm looking at real quick. I want to see the data because it actually gives you all the data. I just turned it off because it's too big for my small little window. We mark it, so it's 1022. 1022 is a buy, sort of weak, but it gave an A. And it aligns with high time frame, right? So it's pretty high score breaker block. So when you see those, they're not trap, right? It's just identifying a potential area of bounce, right? When you get the breach here with the wick, I want the close above to give the confirmation of the block holding, right? And this is 5 minutes, so it anything below that, close below, right, it will invalidate that. So it gives you kind of nice little zone, little box for you guys to watch on that. So yeah, and so see, we're getting the push, right? So that's lining up. This is playing good. I love how it's, kind of lining up because I don't know, I would hope nobody's in a short. Goes through this whole area. Anybody in a short, and it's okay. If you are, just put a thumbs up so
I
I
just
know.
hit my take profit on the long.
On the long, cool. Okay, nobody's in the short, cool. That's all I want to make sure. I want to make sure I ask those things. And guys, don't be shy or to say, Steven, you're in a short. No, I'm just kidding. I'm assuming you're talking about Cody. Because if I don't ask right, then it's like by the time I figure it out, people are like, man, I'm in the short. What do I do? I'm like, oh my god, I wish I knew that like back here, right? But you guys can see my suspicion of this being a trap to retail, right? And validating some things. We have the hammers. We're doing bullish things. So even though we were doing bearish things here, right? If you look over to the macro, it was more indecision by the time we were here. But I was able to identify that we're doing bullish things, right? And so once we get this, like I said, that usually gets that close above, which we did. Then we get the pull. It's holding on the highs. We get the close above. We get the expansion. When we do these things, I like to identify that early and anticipate it because it helps me continue to make sure, A, I'm learning, right? That's how I teach. And B, right, we want to make sure that the market's doing what it should do because I don't care if it does it or not. I know what these kind of structures and candle progressions should do, and if it doesn't do that, then I got to know that it's showing weakness. So if these are all very bullish and then we just sweep, right, well, I want to be careful on our longs because they're setting up bull traps, right? And we can identify that really early. You hit your take profit on your long too? Awesome. Yeah, so I'm glad you guys all shifted long on there. So for those on TikTok and you guys in the community already know, I don't say enter here, exit there. I know many people want that, you'd prefer that, but I like to teach people, right? I want you to make a decision of when to enter because it's a very important emotional part of your journey, right? That you have to get through. So all I'm going to do is give guidance of what I wouldn't be doing and what it's looking for, right? And then you got to make that decision. Now, most people in the mentor group, as well as in the development program, know the logic I'm looking for to choose the entry. And so if you're interested in joining any of those, right, you can do that on the website within there. So let's see if we got Neo back up yet. Nope, he's still PTO. Alex, he'll probably be on here soon. He's West Coast, so. Yeah. So good job, guys, being long. Now, I would be careful being long now. I know that we have still liquidity up here we can grab. We did come up and create a higher high from here, right, which is a great combated to our lower lows we are creating. But we have to weigh our risks, right? We want to continue to look. We are below the ORB. We've now rejected on it 3 times, right? We've created a doji. Close below that, we're dropping. Close above that, we're pumping. Simple as that. Macro-wise, we did close above our doji after a fall with a reclaim of the low. That is more bullish than bearish, right, as of right now. But it's not real bullish until we close above these highs, right? We also have overhead resistance at 5-minute Lisma. Neo lives in Hawaii. Yeah, Neo lives wherever Neo wants to go. I don't know. Maybe he's cruising the internet right now, just checking out TikTok, swiping. I don't know. We can have an imagination with that brand. So macro is supporting more bullish, but we do have some crazy resistance, right? So for me to be really bullish, I would need to do a similar logic I do on my micro. I need a push breach wick. Because we got to close above that doji, it suggests it should. So I'd be careful with your shorts, right? However, if we don't, just like we do on this, right? If we push and we push and we push, and then the 1 minute begins to break down, or the 15-second begins to break down, we know that 5 minutes is going to likely break down, right? So let's watch. So we know we don't have a lot of strength coming up here. Starting to kind of get a little bit of a drop, but we're not even hitting our halfway yet, right? Which would be about right there. That would also be these prior highs. Any kind of pull here with a push is likely going to push to breach wick. Any kind of pull with a breach wick down even if it reclaims, is likely going to come back to there, right? And so try to watch it. So we know that I love that this happened, so it's pretty funny. So the original trap call played out perfect. We dropped, retested it, and dumped. Then it put us into a bullish trap call, saying that this is not likely going to keep going further. And that push, I was kind of laughing because it had a double. I haven't even seen a double before, so that's funny. And I was like, man, this being a double, it probably is going to have enough to break that one. And you can see now that it's gray, it's invalidating that trap area. And so it ended up actually working out. So that indicator, guys, is absolutely sick. So if you guys find yourself getting caught in traps all the time, might want to get it. So for 20 bucks. It's funny. I always hear that, and you guys know, man, I don't salesman things. I'm not pressuring nobody. You got to do what's right for you. That's the most important, right? But people will message and go, man, you know, I'm on my like 10th eval, which is like $1,000. I keep failing it, and I'm like, man, you should get this trap indicator, or join my development program, right? Which is, you know, $100 a month. And they're like, oh man, $100 a month or $20 a month. Like, I'm not spending that, right? But then you just broke like 10 evals in a week and spent $1,000, right? I mean, if 20 bucks can keep you out of traps, right? Or the development thing, if you like how I'm teaching this, you know, it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So we know this line here, guys, I'm going to continue on, was just kind of an anticipatory trend line, right? When we breach these trend lines like this, breach wick, close above, that has to kind of give a breach to a higher high, and it didn't quite do that. Really close, but it didn't quite make it. Almost kind of tapped it exact, I would say. Pretty close. But it may not be done, right, because it's the 1 minute. We did create another doji, so close below again, and up would be up, down. We're just kind of ranging right now. Any kind of hold above the support, which is the 200 and the trend line, which would be somewhere in the area it's trying, right? Any kind of hold of that support is going to possibly create like a compression area, and then that breach out of it would be what you would look. So if I'm looking to play longs, if you're more biased long, you really want to not take it here. You want to kind of wait till you get a breach wick, maybe a rear back, push back, hold support, and then close above, and then you can take it to the OA, right? There is some resistance here. Yeah, this would be your safer play, right? To be in there. Otherwise, you want to wait for a pullback. Pullback, come up, and then take it again. So if you're more biased long, you got to wait. So if you're more biased short, you know, similar, right? You got some concerns. We've been pushing, we're doing a lot of bullish things. It's not really doing any bearish things on the macro or micro at all, right? And so you gotta wait because you're not even doing bearish things at all. So at least the bullish is kind of doing some bullish things, right? We're in an area that this could hold massive support and we can just explode. But we're also on the macro side of it, failing to create anything here. And we've created now 1, 2, 3 lower highs on our wicks, right? So it's a tough range, guys. If I was Neo giving you advice here, I'd be like, this is a tough range. Experienced traders might want to sit out on this one, right? Or beginners. Because we just don't know, guys. I can give you 10 things of why we're going up, and I can give you some things of why we're likely going down. So we just don't know. So when I don't know, I spend a lot of time on my micro, my 15-second. I want to see, what is this doing? Is it doing bullish things? Right now it's not really doing bullish things, but it's not really doing bearish things yet. Kind of with that, right? But we know we have a potential triple top there. Got the neckline, that got the breach wick, little rear back, right? If that rear back taps and then we get a sweep, that would be our first bearish thing, right? Now that bearish thing should play out because of where we are resistance wise, right? But it also shouldn't play out because of where we are support wise, right? It's very, very tricky range. So the only way you can tell which one's going to win is sticking to here, right? Just looking at that. So we ended up getting a lot of dojis with the hammer absorptions. We got another one. set, so we know a close above there is likely going to spring us, close below there is likely going to drop us, right? Yeah, Neo would say, sit on your hands and back away from the mouse. That's actually really funny. Guys, I need to, hold on one second. I got for those on TikTok, I got me a little McDonald's pineapple mango smoothie, which I think I might need to shake this thing up now. It's been sitting there for long. For those who know me already know this. For those who don't, I apologize, but I do a lot of teaching and a lot of talking. And if I'm not teaching, I'm still talking because I'm usually talking to Paul and Alex and we're building. And my throat this week has been absolutely killing me. And so I tend to have to clear my throat quite a bit. So I apologize for doing that, but I don't have a choice. So I had a thought today, as my Friday, is if I get myself a little smoothie, maybe it'll help. And then I'm sitting here doing all this and never even drank it. So I don't know. And I feel like it's helped so far. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sure I'm going to do it, but get that one out of the way. All right. But yeah, guys, this is a tricky range. We're at 1020. While we're waiting for this to make a decision, guys, because we don't know if it's going to create bearishness here or if it's going to come up here, and this is just a break out of the trend line, hold, higher close, explosion. We don't know yet. Yeah, I started, Scott, I appreciate that. I started, I didn't do it this morning, actually, I forgot, but I've started doing in the mornings before I do anything. I take a little tablespoon of honey. But, yeah. I'll have to, so, yeah, and if anybody has any other ideas of things I can do, because unfortunately talking is what I do, and I can't just not, right? So we'll keep trucking. So, and if I lose my voice, guys, look, Neo will be my interpreter. I will tell Alex, build me a thing to type into Neo, and I'm going to type into Neo, and he's going to be like, look for the candle. You guys know me, man. I'm gonna find a way. Ain't no way, something like not having a voice is gonna stop me. And then the funny part is, guys, while we're not in a great range, I have a softball tournament this weekend, and so I literally sit here and go, man, I can't wait for the weekend so I can let my voice rest. And then, POV of me on third base going, guys, no runner on one, gotta go across. I'm screaming, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't really rest my voice much, or screaming for the people hitting their infield home runs, right? Or like, it actually probably was worse. So, oh man, but yeah, so I'm excited. I got a little tournament this weekend. It was a good trading week. People did really well, and that excites me, and I got some good payouts, right? So I get to go into the weekend, just kind of enjoy it, right? I'm a firm believer. Again, I'm gonna watch it, guys, while I'm talking, but I want to, say a lot of this stuff is that I'm a firm believer of, this company that we're creating. I don't want to be, very profitable with it or big with it if it's not a reflection of what the room is doing. I believe there's a way to charge cheaper prices, give good tools, give good education for a very good value, giving you more ample time to learn it and be profitable, right? And then when you're profitable, you don't mind paying things that you're using, right? So it's a win-win. So a lot of what goes on the industry in the industry, like you guys know, is all these companies or these mentors out there. They just care about how much you're paying me, right? And if you pick it up, great. If you don't pick it up, then you just suck at trading. That was a paraphrase, guys. I'm not saying that. And so that's not what's important to me, and everybody in this room knows that, right? What's important to me is that people are doing well. So if you guys aren't doing well, I want to figure it out. I don't even worry about the money. I'm pretty lax even on some things. Probably too lax. Sometimes people will make a message, be like, hey, can I try this? I'm like, sure, try it out today, whatever. If you like it, let me know. Want to try it for a couple days, week, whatever. Like I'm pretty easygoing, guys. Everybody in the room already knows that. But the profit I'm not worried about from a company standpoint because I know it will come if we do it for the right reasons, right? And that's with you guys making money. So we did a class recently. It was really exciting to hear a bunch of people that haven't passed evals or passing evals. People who haven't gotten payouts or getting payouts. Cody, you guys all heard his story. I don't know, Cody, what are you on, like your 27th payout? I don't know. Losing track. It's like 6 or 7, isn't it? 8, 7, 8? I don't know. Cody's like, I'm in the bathroom. Stop calling on me.
This will be my 8th.
In a row, though, huh?
Yeah.
8th in a row. Guys. Oh, man. It's just... I have to ask you, man, because I remember our conversation. So, and you've already openly shared this, but like you went 2 years without a payout, right? And then it just kind of clicked, right? Some of the stuff that we've been doing, and it was funny when you got your first one, right? I was like, stay humble, keep your emotions calm. It's just a payout. It's became real. Take a day off, absorb it, right? And it's so cool because the argument I see a lot on the social medias is that, are you profitable? Did you get a payout? Profitable and payout is subjective, right? I mean, people can be profitable in a week or a payout, but what most people want is consistency, right? And so the fact that you went for 2 years with none and you're on your 8th in a row is like just such a testament to your growth, right? Your patience, staying humble, not getting overly excited.
I just feel blessed, man.
That's amazing, man.
I'm just trying to believe that it's still real,
Yeah. And the funny thing is, not to divulge into that, right? But when you get into, it's funny, I've always said every successful trader who can survive in this business has a story of just whoopings. I mean, I tell my story all the time. I was pre-prop firm, I learned, right? And so I got liquidated plenty of times. I think I was like 25 to 30 grand deep in my learning. And it's funny when you're in that rut, you're in that hole, and you're like, dang, this feels like I'm never getting out of this. Like, I might want to just quit. I just keep digging my hole. I'm out of it, right? Like, I'm done. Like, I actually did quit, right? And once you get to where it clicks, right, and you think of it now, right? I'm sure Cody, like, and I love your story, man, and some others have that same story. I know Paul does as well, but it isn't it crazy when you think of a payout now versus when you weren't getting them? Doesn't it seem just trading's not easy, but it's easier, right? Like you getting a payout now is not as stressful, right?
No, there was times where I didn't think I was ever going to get one. I was like, maybe I can't do this,
Right?
There was a lot of days like that.
Oh yeah. And then now it's just like, yep, got another payout. Right? Like it just becomes norm, right?
Well, I feel like I'd be like disappointed if I didn't get one.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You're like, man, if I don't get a payout every Thursday or Friday, then I'm going to have to return the Lambo. I mean, shoot. No.
Time to be like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And guys, I love. So for those who don't know Cody, like if you're on TikTok, right? Like I mean, he's been in kind of my academy pretty much from day one. I think it was literally day one. Was it like you didn't even know?
You started it when I was here. Wow.
Yeah, like I've ever like, oh, this is a candle, right? And so as a mentor, it's so cool to see that growth, right? And so it the crazy thing about trading, guys, is like even me, right? When I went like 30 grand deep back then, you feel like it's just death, right? And it sucks. And I know everybody has financial differences, right? And so it's hard to do that and say that that's a norm or it has to happen. It doesn't necessarily as much have to happen anymore because prop firms, if you do it right. But you guys have all watched me on take profit get 10K. I think that the best week I had when we were doing it live, I had 10K. What was it, like 3 times in like a week? And think about that. Your whole learning experience, you go that deep, and then you get a skill that you can earn that back within a week or two, right? And that's the thing about trading, man. And I'm a believer. I've always said this to you guys, and these are my Friday soapbox speeches. Um, I know it's arguable, but I'm going to expand it still. That I think anybody can learn to trade. I just think that it needs to be taught in a way they understand it, right? And the problem in this industry is not a lot of people can do that, right? And there's a thing that I used to say, and this is the fact, is some of you guys in here are in management, right? And so Ryan, I think you're still in here, right? And I know we talk a lot because I know you're in management. And so yeah, you're still in here. So I know you agree, but in life, right? I as a manager, we used to always have a saying, right? Like not every great employee is a great manager, right? Not every great technician or whatever field you do is a great manager, right? Paul and I, worked together a while back, and when I was in management, man, we would promote some just phenomenal techs. And I'm like, man, this guy's he's gonna be great. And then he would just be an absolutely shitty manager, right? Because they just couldn't lead, they couldn't teach, they were good at what they did, but they couldn't explain it or teach people or guide them, right? And so where I'm going with that is I see a lot of that in the trading industry. People lean towards, oh, I got 30 some odd years of trading experience, and you just assume that makes them a good teacher, right? Or maybe they don't have that much. Maybe they have 4 years of trading experience, but they're putting up 30K profits, and you guys want to pay them to see how they're doing it. Maybe they're a great trader, but they're a terrible teacher, right? Not every good trader is a good teacher. And so,
Hey Nick,
yeah.
the what I found with regards to that is some teachers teach, and when they have a lot of experience, they overcomplicate everything. And sometimes it's because their mind works that, and sometimes it's that way because they want to impress people. They want to show, this is how I do it. Do this, go in here, go in there, look for this, look for that, draw this line. The nice thing I am complimentary about your whole site and system and everything, and people notice that when I usually comment. But the nice thing about it with you is you go from the basics, the old in and out order, a 1, 2, or a 3,
Mm-hmm.
and you can be successful at that, or you can be successful in using their back end system where it's 200 things coded into their checkout, their register.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice because you can take whatever level you want with the way you're teaching this. And I really find that it has really changed my trading.
No, and I appreciate that, Scott. And it goes to many points that I keep, bringing up, which is one, before I jump into that, guys. So what I was zooming in here watching is we have a pole. It's trying to form an inverse head and shoulder. This is huge because if this breaches up, we now have a bearish structure that played out that we talked about into a bullish structure. Now, we saw this yesterday. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out because remember we saw this yesterday. It had a bearish structure into a bullish structure, and the bullish structure collapsed like hard. Remember we dropped like freaking nut. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but this tells us our tell, right? If this bullish structure that's forming cannot breach into the bearish structure that already played out, bears are stronger, right? And we're going down. But if this can breach into it, it's gonna likely pop pretty good too. So just watch it. I'm not trading right now. I'm mostly done. But yeah, that leads to kind of my point in a wide spectrum of, choose your mentors, choose your teachers wisely, right? There's a lot of people out there who trade. Everybody claims to be able to teach. I would probably challenge that because I don't think that that's true. And just because somebody's successful doesn't mean they can teach you to be successful, right? And so you guys got to play in that. I said something on TikTok yesterday, which I firmly believe. The more successful I try to convince you I am on TikTok or social medias, the more likely I'm probably full of shit. I'm just going to throw that out there. You know, the people out there spouting Lambos and mansions, right? Or putting things up there like I'm a 40K a week trader, probably full of shit. And so, ooh, wait a minute. Never mind, guys. I forgot. Wait, let me show you. I love my. Did I do it here? Yeah. Ooh, I did it. Hold on, guys. Y'all know I'm about to show, guys. I'm a 40K a day trader. Whoo, look at this. Y'all want to see my monthly P&L? There it is. Just kidding, guys. This was an experiment that I did on my Lucid, joking with the room one day about don't believe shit you see. Because there's my actual monthly from my Lucid. Right? Did a $6,500 day, and then I just been milking it to take my payouts. And then I just, for fun, created this in like 30 seconds and explained to people how don't believe everything you see, because they're full of shit. If I want to tell you that I had a great day, for those who missed it, because I know some have joined recently and some are on TikTok, I want to actually open my broker and say, I had a great day. Tradeovate, it's right there. See, open, boom. Can't fake that, right? And so, yeah. So, but anyways, guys, just be careful on the social medias. Not everybody's a good teacher. People are gonna
That's
fluff it.
Photoshop.
Oh, it's for sure. I know. Neo did that one. See the inverse head and shoulder playing out, guys? Inverse head and shoulder playing out. Now we breached into our bearish structure, right? There's our high. Any kind of push here, that's why it's rejecting, is this high. Any kind of breach wick here, rear back, close above is going back to there. Probably for a higher high. But the other thing too, you know, you said on that, you know, Scott, is this is the biggest thing I've seen, the biggest thing in this industry, guys. And if you're on TikTok or otherwise, listen up, because there's so much predatory nature going on in this industry, because there's a firm belief by people who don't know better that trading needs to be complicated. There's a firm belief that you need to know all these things, and you got to read 100 books and have a financial degree and an economic degree, and you need to understand a million structures and patterns and all the math and you just don't, right? And they believe it's overcomplicated because the industry has convinced them that it has to be complicated. So people, you know, not only they're going to overcomplicate it so they can charge you more, but they're going to overcomplicate it in a multi-fashion strategy that says, I taught you all these strategies, and if you're losing, it's probably because you're using the wrong strategy. And that's a cop-out way to blame it on you. And then it makes you feel like you're failing as a trader, right? And so the method that I teach, and the model that we've kind of formulated through my knowledge and then the help of the mentor group, it's a lot, right? But it's all fundamental and it's all repeatable, and I don't change it, right? And if you don't understand how it's fundamentally repeatable, I tend to try to break it down a different way, right, to make you understand it. So, but yeah, knowledge is power. I believe that, but I think the more you overcomplicate it, the harder it gets, right? Scott, I know you agree with that because we've had those conversations, right? Every time we try to overcomplicate it, your performance gets a little less, right? And so,
absolutely, the brain can only, we're not a Neo.
Yeah, where's my Neo, man? Come on, Alex.
Our brain overcomplicates things, and it gets confusing. I mean, you look at all the charts and the candles and the lines you put in and the indicators.
Yeah.
You got to have a basic system that you follow every time.
That's repeatable.
And
right?
Cody seems to have it. I mean, I'll testify that I remember back in the days when Cody swung for the fence every single day.
I used to like to trade 5NQ.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
now the sweet spot is 3 MMQ. So
I don't know if you made it. I see your thing in there, Chuck, but I have a suspicion, but it. Yeah, I can do a quick fix on it while I'm thinking about it because I don't want to forget. And then I'll take a look on it. But are you on here, Chuck? Oh, let me see. He was not. Okay. Let me he was having trouble I guess on the mentor page. So, let me let him know.
also, I would just trade all day, just sit here in hours. Now, I make a little bit, and I turn my computer off. I don't even look at it.
We know, man. Right when you're like, got my trade, and then we go to the development session, I'm like, hey, Cody. Oh, damn, Cody out. Like, yeah, he's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Now, I know if I'm sitting here and watching it, I'm going to end up being in something. So I'm just, nope, turn it off.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. Love it. You found your groove, man. Just keep it going. You guys see?
Hey, real quick, just
Yes.
as a warning, Nvidia took off, so be careful you're shorting the market.
Yeah. I would hope. I appreciate that update for sure, because
Nita, you're not here, right? You know that.
so
I'm short, and then all of a sudden, bam! I was like, "What the hell happened?" I
well,
was like, "Oh, no wonder."
and so for me, my thing on it, if you're scalping, it's it's one thing for sure, but that's what I was concerned about. Is we had a bearish structure that came in right with a higher low into a bullish structure. So we were trying to see if the bearish was going to play out or was the bullish going to play out. And so the bullish ended up playing out, and so into that, so to kind of absorb the bearish. So that definitely shows more strength. We might get some pullbacks, but yes, I would be very careful shorting if you're in shorts right now. So your overhead is 77, maybe 82, right? If you break above that, you guys got to think about it this way, right? So when I was talking about that structure breakdown and the lower low, I was kind of looking for here, but in perspective, now that I'm looking at it, right, we did get the break in the lower low from there, right? So it's not, and we did bounce where I had mentioned we were going to bounce, right? So we got about $100 push off that. So in perspective, I mean, this is kind of like that market open area. We're still kind of push parallel channel, and we're trying to break it. So we definitely can jump. Yeah. Yeah, Steven, to your point, I see that a lot on Discord too, where people will just be on there chatting it up, right? Like, yeah, I'm in this long, I'm in this short, I'm in this, and they go, oh, cool. Well, how did you determine it? Yeah, man, join my Discord and I'll let you know, or join my this and I'll let you know, and pay for my program and I'll let you know. I do a lot of teaching on this site and an open session for free, but it's not going to be enough, right? You're going to want to expand your knowledge, but it's enough to show you little glimpse into my strategy, and enough to show you that I know what I'm doing, so which I think is the most important thing right now. But yeah, if Nvidia is pushing, for sure, be careful, guys. This is setting up again. Even with our bearish pull, we bounced on our high. That's a normal on a 15-second. If this was a 15-second play, right, it would be our high. We broke it, push, retested the high, and then we're gonna try to push, right, for a higher high, and we're seeing that. So anybody in a short, put a thumbs up, because we're at 10:45. We're gonna be ending it here soon. I'd love to know if you're in a short. No, good job. Good job. That's when you're like, I'm in a short, but I ain't telling nobody. No. How to push here. This area here is going to be huge, right? Right there. If we tap this and jump, it's going to really explode. If we break down from here, right, then we're going to probably get a collapse maybe to there. If that breaks down, then it's going to get a full pullback, right? But if you think about it, if we get a push tap here, that would be halfway reclaim, right? So for us to pull back there and then jump. Now, I have concerns, I'm going to tell you. I wouldn't chase this long because even though we're pushing up, and yes, we have the inverse head and shoulder breakout, we still can pull back and create a higher low. We didn't even get to the 5-minute Lisma. And you guys know how I feel about that, right? Like, if we don't at least breach it on the first try, this tells me the strength, right? So the only thing that could rejuvenate my thought of strength of long would be if it can hold these highs, right? Like this. So if it pushes, doesn't breach it, but it holds those highs and gets propulsion back, that secondary one is going to breach it. It has to. If it doesn't, then it's going to drop really hard. So, guys, that's kind of what I got for the most part. Most of you guys seem pretty green. If you want to throw your P&Ls in the chat there, I would really like it also, especially for a Friday, guys. Go into the community chat in here. Just maybe, you don't have to post screenshots if you don't want to, but just a little something about your day. Was it green, red? What did you learn? I love that you posted this one in here, Brent. We're going to have red days. It's just going to happen, right? But, you know, maybe post your week. If you're one that tracks your week, right, maybe post your week. You know, had a green week. Maybe, you know, like Cody, you know, congratulations on your payout, right? Getting that trade, and now you got guaranteed money. You get to, you know, head back out and party. He's like, yep, or already got the limo ordered.
So I got 1,034 on the funded, and 180 on the other funded, so I'll get a payout.
Sweet.
Good stuff.
Duff, 1278, man. Good job. Good job. John, look, man, as new as you are, and as difficult as this market is right now up here, you being green, phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, Colin, 176.
That was digging out of a $428 hole.
Okay, so you battled. I love it. I don't know, guys. That might be my new ritual. I'm gonna have to order a McCafe smoothie because I feel like I cleared my throat a lot less today than I normally do. So I don't know. Maybe I need a little smoothie action every now and then. Can't go wrong with a smoothie. Guys, questions? It's 10:50.
Are you a hipster now, or what?
Look, I just play the cards I'm dealt here, Cody. I can't help it, you know. It's kind of like trading, you know. I just can't help, my mind goes crazy, and I look over and go, "Oh shoot, we're about to pump because of this." You know, it just works. I just play the cards I'm dealt, Cody. Just kidding. TikTok, I'm gonna drop off of that real quick. If you guys want to hang out in the room for just a second, for those in the community, I want to kind of talk about some of the Neo updates, some cool things we're doing. I always like to do a little Friday update of status because you guys know we're working on things pretty heavily. So if you guys want to come into the room, if you're intrigued at all by how I teach or what I'm doing, come in. Or maybe you just want to come see Neo. He took a PTO today, apparently. No, Alex is working on some updates, and so he should be back on by 1, but we'll know that here shortly. But maybe you want to see Neo, right? But my big thing I always tell people is when you are finding inconsistency, or you're finding that you're not reading the markets well, or you're finding that you can't anticipate something, or you're finding that you're still struggling, what does it hurt to come see if how I teach it helps you, right? Everybody in the open session right now is free. Like, you don't have to pay for the open session. So my theory of the way that my company that I have here, and Paul and I and Alex all agree that we want to set it up in a way that nobody pays anything until you are comfortable with what you're paying for, right? Whether it's tools or education or what you're getting. So, and that's a motto I want to keep because I think it's important. So, if you guys on TikTok, before I drop off, have any questions, and if you go to my bio, you can see there's an email tab. You can email me directly, or you can go to the website and create a support ticket. This is our website. When you come in, it looks like this, nextstepalgo.com. This is what we got. You can make a support ticket by just clicking up there into the question, and you just type your stuff. So pretty easy on the setups. So you can see anytime we have the sessions here. Paul, I don't know if Paul's, you're still here. Remind me, when Neo's not in session, I'm wanting to see if you can make it red. Yeah. Just so when you see the colors, those are the sessions. Right now, mentor session is not open, development session is not open, and the open session is open. When you see green, you click it and open that up. Once we shut this one down, right, the development one will be the next one, right? And so you'll see that in there. So just kind of go through, click. We're very transparent with everything we do and the prices. You can click the deals and see all of the coupons and pricing and things that we do within that. So if you're looking for trading courses, people in my mentor group as well as VIP get the trading courses for free, any and all. We made that decision. When you go into the trading courses, they're not simple videos. You are interacting with an actual book.
Charting foundations.
And it is going to give you audio that will read it. I can click the pages. I can pull the pages back. And I can take a quiz, right? It's almost like a full university. So anybody that's in here on the mentorship and VIP will have those and all that we create free. We have quite a bit of them created. I think 52, plus an economic one, plus a crypto one. It's going to be a very busy year for Paul while he develops these. So, and even if you're not part of those programs, I think it's like $30 for each lesson. So it's not thousands of dollars like many of you are used to paying. So, but yeah, check it out, guys. I'm gonna drop off